Starting that. We on? We're good? Starting. Yay! Good morning. Thanks for joining us for our latest SilviaFindings live stream. We're going to continue this week with more rings. Yeah, we're going to be doing rings for a while, I think, because there's a few rings coming. Although I think we're expecting a shipment from the factory to come in sometime, I think, before next week. So maybe next week we'll do something a little special and show off all the new stuff. May not have details, pricing and stuff like that for you, but or maybe we'll just intersperse some things, you know, show you some cool things, you know, as they come in. Anyway, you may not know, which if you don't, why did you click on this link? We are SilviaFindings. We're Canada's premier supplier of sterling silver findings, beads, clasps, jump rings, wire, sheet metal. But most importantly, and the things that I love best, are the settings, the pendant settings, the ring settings, the bails, you know, all those kind of cool things. I think they're, I've been hearing this word a lot, semi-set, or semi-mount, which to me sounds like, you know, I put the stone in, but I haven't set it yet. So anyway, to me, they're just settings with no stones, ready for your stones. And of course, all of the things that we make, all the production models that we make, you know, are of a size. You know, we try to broadcast, try to get as many different sizes that, you know, that we can in a given range. Most of the sizes are more or less what you would call calibrated. Well, I mean, they're all calibrated. They're all exactly. If it's something is, you know, 10 by 14, you know, a 10 by 14 stone usually will fit in the thing. So we don't really have you know, things that are like, well, no, that's not true. We do have some that turned out to be half millimeter in between here and there. So never mind. Yeah. I have no idea where I was going with that. It was just somewhere and came in and left. Anyway, so thank you for joining us. We're here every Wednesday morning, for me, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, and extrapolated out to wherever your time zone is. Remember, if you share this video, you know, if you like it, that's great, but you only get the free stuff if you share it. So we'll send you a free polishing cloth if you share this video. Please let us know if you share it, because I feel like we get a notification that someone has shared it, but it's not always clear who. So if you did share it, let us know. You know, but don't you know, don't not share it and then say, hey, I shared it, send me a cloth. You know, clearly. If you order anything during the live stream today, of course you get 10% off regularly priced stuff, and free shipping for orders up to $100. After that, we have to add tracking. So that's on you. You got to pay for that. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, and they don't have to be about whatever we're talking about today. I guess theoretically, they don't even really have to be about any of our products. You know, if you have just a general jewelry smithing question, metal smithing question. I've been a jewelry instructor, jewelry fabrication instructor for a long time. Going on 26 years, 27 years. That's longer than I've done anything besides breathing. So that's it. If you have any questions about casting or, you know, jewelry fabrication, you know, so again, it doesn't necessarily have to, you know, pertain to what we're doing. I will say there's been a big uptick in custom orders. So, you know, I like to just talk about this every session. I know that if you've heard it before, you know, too bad you're going to hear it again. Uh, um, the way we do custom design work is different than just about any jeweler that I know. I know some jewelers are working with CAD, and you know, and that's great. But you know, generally, if you have a stone and you love a particular setting, but the stone and the setting don't match size-wise, it's very easy for us to. Well, it's not easy, but you know, it's not outside the realm of possibility that we can. You know, we would have to recreate the digital file for that one thing because it's creating everything from scratch, literally. But we created a 3D file that you can look at, and then once you okay it, we 3D print a castable resin version of that, and then we stick that on one of the production trees that we're working on that day. And you know, so we're able to do this very easily. You know, we're able to leverage our production facilities and our production queue to you know, to add in custom things you know, as they come in. So and because we don't have somebody who's physically carving the wax you know, ring or pendant or whatever that a lot of jewelers would be doing, you know, the cost is really good. I think we actually just raised the price, which we should raise it more. I'm saying here right now, it's only up to 5 grams a piece. That's up to 5 grams, which I think most of our pendants is pretty rare. We have a couple that are more than 5 grams, but most of them are coming under 5 grams. So just to give you a general idea, $68 Canadian, up to 5 grams for sterling silver, and that includes everything: the 3D design, the production, the rhodium plating, you know, the whole deal, the whole schmeal. And of course, as things are custom, we can do it in whatever. If you don't want sterling, if you want gold, we can do gold. You know, we can't do gold filled because that's a completely different technology that has nothing to do with casting. And our facilities are primarily casting facilities, so you know, casting we're great at, but gold fill is a completely different technology altogether, and it's yeah. Having said that, we've had a lot of people, instead of gold fill or gold plated, opt for 9-karat gold, which is, you know, obviously way cheaper than 14-karat gold, and it looks great. I'm always a little bit amazed. I always think, you know, 9-karat gold, once you alloy gold that much, you know, you're gonna lose some of the gold. You know how like 22-karat gold, like the gold you see in East Asia and India, you know, and Indonesia, you know, that gold that they love, that really orangey gold, that 22-karat gold. And you know, here in North America, we're kind of more used to 18-karat, 14-karat gold. It's a little more yellow, and I always worry that if you alloy it more with a 9-karat gold, which is less than half gold. I probably don't need to explain this, but I'm going to anyway. 24-karat gold is pure gold, right? So gold carats are not like diamond carats or stone carats. Stone carats are physical weight, and gold carats are a ratio of 24. So 24-karat gold means pure gold. 18-karat gold means 18 parts gold, 6 parts something else. So what is that, 75%? 14-karat gold is 14 parts gold, 10 parts something else. So that's only like 57 something percent. I just tried to do the math in my head. I'm probably wrong. Something like that, 57-ish percent. And 9-karat gold is even less. It's only like 40 something percent gold. So I always worry that the color is going to be like really, you know, yellow or a little more white or things and stuff, but it's not. It's really gorgeous. It's very comparable to the 14 or 18-karat gold. Anyway, neither here nor there, and it's really cost effective, and there's not a lot of people who are casting with 9-karat gold. So we can do 9-karat, 10-karat, we can do 14-karat gold, 18-karat gold, you know, and as we do the alloying there, you know, right on the premises, we can do rose gold, we can do white gold, you know, you name it. We can do whatever you want, which is the whole point of custom, right? Yes. So that's my spiel about custom service. It's really good thing. We do a lot of it, and we're doing more and more and more. And I don't know if it's just a function of more and more people hearing about it and saying, oh, of course, that's an amazing deal. We should definitely take advantage of that. Or just that people are reaching the point where they're sitting at home on lockdown so hard that they're like, I need to do something. So let me just order some crazy jewelry. Whatever. Anyway, neither here nor there. It's a great service. You should take advantage of it. Just saying. As far as shipping, 2 or 3 months ago, I was really hard on Canada Post, and I still think that they are really lacking for an ostensibly first world postal service. But it's not as bad as it was. It's almost pretty normal. We're shipping stuff to the East Coast, Montreal, 11 days, I think it was, or 12 days. We shipped something to New Brunswick that took just over 2 weeks, it's still not great, but, it's good. It's better. We had something that we shipped to Germany that just took 16 days, a regular postal service, which is great. 2 months ago, it would have been 75 days would have not been out of place. I bet there are still things in transit that we shipped in December that are going to arrive before things that we're shipping now. So I don't know. Not really. I'm just saying. I'm being a little hyperbolic, just for the purposes of comedy. So that's it. Shipping is going good. Yeah, I will say. Now, let's get on to the rings. We finished off last week. We're doing mostly ovals, and I think we're still in a tray that's mostly ovals. But, there may be 1 or 2 surprises along the way. So let me just get this set up to go the other direction. And, oops. We just made a sale on Etsy. I don't know if you heard that. Cha-ching. That's really loud. And sometimes late at night, if I'm sitting in bed trying to go to sleep and I hear that thing, it wakes me right up. I'm like, oh, crap. Can I zoom in here? No. So this, our first item, MTR 345 with a retail price of $33.87 and a wholesale price of $23.71. This is for a 7x9 millimeter oval. This is a lovely, kind of a wide band. It's, hollowed out up at the top because it's a pretty deep basket. So, something with a massive pavilion would be just fine in here. There's a couple rows of cubic zirconias up the sides. I don't know if you could see those, right? Very lovely. And I don't know, kind of a simple oval, basket up the top. Good size prongs, so, just about any kind of stone will fit in there. You could probably even put a cabochon in there if it's not super deep cab. Anything taller would start to feel, I think, a little bit weird because the basket is so high. Oh, I didn't notice that. There's a bunch of cubic zirconias inside, too. I don't know if you could see that row of that kind of rainbow effect. Very cool. Our next item, MTR 549 with a retail price of $18.75 and a wholesale price of $11.72. This is for a 4x6 millimeter stone. Cut stone. Cabochon's got a hybrid seat, so you can put whatever you want in there. The prongs are not super tall, so probably a cut stone would work best. Although if it's a low dome cab, that those prongs can fit over, over the edge onto the perimeter, should be fine. I love this kind of, I don't know, it's almost dwarvish looking things, right? Those stretched hexagons with the cubic zirconia inside. I don't know how else to describe it, but to me, I look at this and I think of, the dwarves from Lord of the Rings. It's just super cool design. Our next item, MTR 419 with a retail price of $9.94 and a wholesale price of $6.62. This is for a 3x5 millimeter stone. This, I think, is just about the tiniest setting that we have for an oval. A nice, cute little 3x5 millimeter stone. Oh, it's cute. With that little, I don't know, just kind of a little bit of a split shank up at the top. Very interesting, very delicate pattern. Very simple basket. Just about any cut stone will work in there. Maybe a cabochon too. Boy, it'd have to be a pretty low dome cab, and most tiny cabs that I've seen like that are unreasonably thick. MTR 529 with a retail price of $17.59 and a wholesale price of $10.99. This is for a 6x7 millimeter cut stone or cab. You know, it always makes me nervous when there's that kind of that structural framework down on the bottom of these baskets, because that limits how deep of a pavilion you can get. Now, of course, you can always cut that out. You know, I don't think that the design of this ring would be too compromised by cutting that out. Just looking, these bars are probably fine. Yeah, I wouldn't feel, if you had to, I wouldn't feel much concern about cutting that support beams out of the bottom of that cab. Anyway, they've got these two little curly cues. It's kind of like a, you know, I guess kind of like a stylized heart. This to me is one of the classic filigree components. You know, if you've ever done filigree with you know, making some filigree shapes, this one is like one of the the classic components that's used in filigree. Very interesting, very cool. I love it. MTR 535 with a retail price of $21.40 and a wholesale price of $13.38. This is for a 5x7 millimeter cut stone or cab, I guess, will work in here. Cab might be tricky because it's a really sharp seat. It would have to be super close to the size to get it to work for a cab. I love these chevrons of cubic zirconia up the sides of the split shank. It's just very cool, right? I think that's what you'd look at when you're looking at it. Very interesting. Very cool. All signs point to the stone. Here's one, our first non-oval of the day. MTR 542 with a retail price of $12.63 and a wholesale price of $7.90. And this is for a 6x7 millimeter pair. 6 millimeter wide, 7 millimeter tall is how we measure them. It's got this cubic zirconia accent on the sides, right where the band meets the seat, meets the basket. It's got the two plain prongs on the bottom and the one chevron prong at the top. So ideally, you'd want this to be a cut stone with a pointy tip. Would work best for this. That's what that kind of a seat is designed for. Having said that, you could probably definitely put a cabochon in there, although, you know, once you have a basket that's this tall and you start putting cabs that you know, that are pretty thick, the stone starts sitting really high up off your finger, and I don't know, it might look a little bit weird. So this is ideally for cut stone, cut pear shaped stone, although you could definitely put a cab in there. Right after I've said don't, you know, you could. There's no this is one thing that I used to always say in my classes is, you know, there's no right way or there's no wrong way of doing anything. There's only a way or another way. And whatever way works best for you is the way you should be doing it. MTR 418 with a retail price of $12.49 and a wholesale price of $8.33. This is for a 6x7mm oval. And that lovely nugget of knowledge is just one of those lovely free things that you can get only if you're watching this, which right now it looks to me like, according to what it says on the camera here, there's only one person watching, which I think is Nelson. Or it could be Marble. Are you watching this? Oh yeah, so it's Nelson. So this lovely split shank ring with the little hearts, right, on the sides, little heart components. Good size basket. Kind of can't get any more traditional than this as far as the basket goes. Good size prongs. These are pre-notched, so ostensibly it's designed for a cut stone, although you could definitely put a cabochon in there. Absolutely. Our next item, MTR 412, with a retail price of $14.42 and a wholesale price of $9.61. This is for a 5x7mm oval, and this has lovely scrolly kind of little rococo components, right? There's no cubic zirconias in there. It's just the silver work, the scroll work, silver scroll work. Oh, it looks like some little hearts here on the side, right? The prongs are not super tall, so you're looking at, you know, this is pretty much designed for cut stones. You just have to be, maybe a cab will fit in there, depending, as long as it's not a super tall dome. If you're putting a cut stone in here, you just have to be aware that the pavilion is not super tall, because some, you know, lapidaries, they cut their stones so, with the pavilion so deep, and, you know, fair enough, that definitely deepens the color of the stone, but it also makes it difficult to find a setting that'll work without the culet of the stone entering the finger space there. And so when you put your finger on, it scratches your finger, it makes you cranky. Our next item, MTR 310, with a retail price of $20.29 and a wholesale price of $12.68. This is for an 8x9mm pair. You know, the flat seat shows that it's ostensibly designed for a cabochon, which these nice tall prongs are also, you know, indicative of. I also, personally, I'm a bigger fan of these double prongs for the tips of these kind of stones than the chevrons. These are way more versatile if you've got, you know, a cab, and I've seen lots of, you know, like rose quartz or rainbow moonstones or labradorite, you know, cabs, and they tend to be super thick. So this ring would be perfect for those kind of things, right? Split shank up to the very plain basket. A cut stone might be able to work in here again, as long as the pavilion is not super deep. Our next item of the catalog, MTR 501, with a retail price of $19.76 and a wholesale price of $12.35. This is for a 7x9mm oval, and this is just, you know, a classic halo of cubic zirconias, right, around a very simple basket. We've got those lovely, again, filigree component, right, that heart shape thing on the sides, right, where the basket meets. The basket is not super deep, so although it's deep enough, oh, this prong is bent. Oh well. It happens when you got these trays stacked on top of each other when we're traveling around to shows. When we used to do that in the pre-plague days. Oh boy. MTR 477, with a retail price of $13.93 and a wholesale price of $8.71. This is for a 5x7mm pair. Again, this is for ostensibly for a cut stone, because it's got that beveled seat. Pretty high basket, so only the very deepest pavilions would be a problem for this. It's got the regular double prongs down at the bottom, and the single prong up at the top is not even really a chevron. This is a little bit wider prong with a notch cut out of it on the inside. So the very tip of the point of the stone sits inside there. When you push that down, that sets it in. The reason why I would recommend using this more for a cut stone than a cabochon is if the point is not super pointy on the cab, it's tricky for this to do a lot of work, this little prong, to do all the work holding the stone in. And because the cabochon is basically flat on the bottom, it's very easy for the stone to slip out of that little piece, unless it's a very pointy, very pointy tip. Cut stones work a little bit differently because the bulk of the stone is inside the seat. So once it's sitting down inside the seat, it can't move sideways, right? Because the edge of the stone hits the frame. So these do a lot less work in holding it secure. I mean, obviously they do more work than normal, but anyway. And the band is just this lovely twisty, rope effect, which I quite like. Where am I? I'm here. MTR 496 with a retail price of $18.44 and a wholesale price of $11.53. This is for a 4x6 millimeter oval, and very gorgeous sort of a split shank that intertwines around the basket. This is very fashionable how the setting is horizontal with the plane of the ring instead of perpendicular to it, right? Normally Normally the stones are, this way, perpendicular to the band, and on this one it's parallel to the band, which I was told by someone that this is, very fashionable. I think she just told me that because she designed a custom ring for us to make for her that had the stone going that way, and she wanted the stone to go that way. Anyway, what is fashion? Anyway, Transigent MTR 539 with a retail price of $18.58 and a wholesale price of $11.61. This is for a 6x7 millimeter oval. Cabochon, maybe. Cut stone, definitely. Nice deep basket. The prongs are a good size for a cut stone, right? The pre-notches in there, right, ready to go, push down on top of the girdle. We've got these lovely leaves off the side, right? Set with cubic zirconias in there. This is a very lovely piece. Our next item, MTR 426 with a retail price of $17.25 and a wholesale price of $10.35. This is for a 4x6 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. No cubic zirconias in here, just the silverware, kind of like a twisty effect, right? Coming up to meeting up at the top. Again, this, what is it? 4x6. Yeah, this is one of those small ones. You could probably even get a 5x3 in there. Although when you're talking about tolerances that small, every little bit makes a difference, and it might end up being way too big. MTR 523 with a retail price of $15.86 and a wholesale price of $9.91. This is for a 5x7 millimeter oval. Cut stone or cabochon will fit in there. It's got that hybrid seat, so anything will fit in there. The prongs are not super tall, so they're taller than usual, and they're the cabochon prongs, right, that are domed, rounded on the outside, flat on the inside. There's no pre-notch in here. I love this row of cubic zirconias around the top. Yeah, very cool. Our next item, MTR 456, MTR 456 with a retail price of $13.12 and a wholesale price of $8.20. This is for a 7x9 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. Yeah, good sized prongs. You could put anything in here. The basket is not super deep, so just beware of super tall pavilions. It's a split shank with a lovely kind of I don't know, almost a heart accent in the top, cubic zirconias, right? A little trio of cubic zirconias in there to make that lovely transition from the band to the basket. MTR 118 with a retail price of $11.19 and a wholesale price of $6.99. This is for a 4x6 millimeter oval, and this is just a classic split shank with some little leaves, right? Leaf elements on the sides. Very simple basket. So cabochon, cut stone, whatever you want to put in there should work just great. Got MTR $4.99 with a retail price of $19.99 and a wholesale price of $12.50. This is for a 6x8 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. Either will work in there. Actually, boy, cut stone might be tricky depending on the height of the pavilion depth and what kind of a culet you have on the bottom of there. So I guess just be careful to double check if you set your stone in there and the culet extends, pretty deep into the finger space. You might have to worry about that. I just love these flourishes of cubic zirconias, right? The mirror image on the one side and the other. So I don't know, it's almost like half a butterfly, right? And the other half is on that side. Oh no! Butterfly's been torn in half by the seat of the ring. How morbid. MTR, what a salesman. MTR 448 with a retail price of $15.67 and a wholesale price of $9.80. This is for a 9x8 millimeter baguette, rectangular stone, whatever. It's got the corner prongs with the notches. Now this, depending on the shape of the stone and how it's cut, if the corners are beveled, cut stones for sure in here. Cabochons maybe if the bottom is not super flat. If some of the underside of the cabochon fits down inside the basket, much more secure. The corners would have to be really super pointy. If it's a cut stone and the corners are beveled, boy, this is the easiest thing in the world to set. Because these just push over onto that beveled edge and you're good. If the corners are pointy, they'll also work, but because they've got the prongs with the notches cut out of the inside of them, you just have to be careful that the dimensions of the stone really match the dimensions of the seat. Otherwise, if there's a little bit off center and you need to push these in a little bit, the corners may not meet inside that little notch as easily as they would. Either way, this is a gorgeous ring with that lovely flourishes and that's kind of segmented ovals, I guess. Band, love it. Yeah, that's a classic. We got here MTR 507 with a retail price of $17.58 and a wholesale price of $10.99. This is for an 8x10 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. Really, I guess designed for a cut stone because it's got the cut stone prongs with the notches pre-notched in there, and it's a pretty good sized basket. I wouldn't feel weird putting a cab in there though if you wanted. Very simple, split shank band that, kind of meets up at the top that holds the basket in place. Very cool effect. Very simple. So not really much to say about it other than it's awesome. MTR 466 with a retail price of $20.05 and a wholesale price of $12.53. This is for a 7x8 millimeter square. I know, 7x8. What? This is what I call a lapidary special. You know, you have to be somebody who's cutting their own stones, and you happen to, or you find a stone that's that's ostensibly a 7x7 or an 8x8, and one side is just a little bit bigger or smaller than the other. Especially if the corners are beveled. If the corners are beveled, this is super easy to set, right? Lovely strut work here in the frame, right? Cubic zirconias up the sides of the band. I love that. And it's got those the prongs with the notches cut out. So if you have nice sharp corners, great. That's what these are designed for. If you have beveled corners, even better, because these can push over easily onto them and the stone holds in beautifully. If it's a cabochon and the corners are not pointy, boy, especially if it's a flat, I don't recommend this ring because the stone will slip out too easily. You might be able to get it to work, but boy, one good knock in one direction and the stone could pretty easily pop out. Again, only if it's a cab with a flat bottom. Cut stones are perfect in this. That's what these are designed for. And it will be super secure. No matter how good or bad you are at setting. The seat does a lot of the work. I know people tend to focus on the prongs, but the seat really does a lot of the work in, securing your stones in there. MTR 490 with a retail price of $15.88 and a wholesale price of $9.92. This is for a 5x7 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. It's got those, the hybrid seat, so you can put a cut stone or a cab in there. The prongs are not pre-notched, so you can put anything you want in there. Just very simple, very classic, very elegant, very versatile ring. This, boy, no matter what you put in there, I think it would look great. And I just love that, the mirrored components. MTR 536 with a retail price of $18.63 and a wholesale price of $11.65. This is for a 9x14 millimeter marquise stone. A cut stone or a cab will work in here. Cut stone's probably better. Good size basket. It's got that lovely kind of flourishes up the side. Those etched flourishes up the side. I'm a big fan of these double prongs, right? So you can sit the point, right in there and push that over onto the stone. Or if your stones don't have pointy corners, these are super secure for cutting that. That's why I said it originally. You could even definitely put a cab in there because even a cabochon will work great in that, ring. When you push these, if you pull them open a little bit and then pull them over onto the side, it's almost like there's 4 prongs in there instead of the double prongs, which I guess is kind of the point of the double prong. I'm kind of a bigger fan of these than I am of the chevron prongs that you see in a lot of marquee settings. I just find those chevrons are way more angst-inducing. You just have to be so much more careful how tightly you set your stone because they can crack the little points very easily. MTR 470. Now, I don't want to dissuade you from now making it sound like, oh, don't buy anything with a chevron. It's just a little bit trickier to set. MTR 470 with a retail price of $17.58 and a wholesale price of $10.99. This is for a 8x15 millimeter. What is this shape? I'm trying to think of back to my tabular. Yes. Lozenge. No. Tabular. I think it's tabular. Oh boy, there was that Ernest K. Beck released a white paper in the 1930s or 20s talking about the nomenclature of gem and bead shapes, and he had a name for this. I can't remember what it was. But so this is kind of an oval, but it's a really, really tall oval with flat sides, like a pill shape or a tabular shape. I can't remember what he called it. So this is another one of what I call a lapidary special. You almost have to cut your own stone to fit this, which a lot of our customers do that kind of thing. I love that sort of wheat, laurel pattern up the side, terminating in some scroll work, holding the basket up. It's hollow on the inside, so you can see that shape all the way through. Very interesting ring. Ostensibly designed for a cabochon, but you could probably put a cut stone in there if you had one that was of the size. Our next ring, MTR 455, with a retail price of $20.06 and a wholesale price of $12.54. This is for a 5x7mm rectangular stone, baguette, whatever you want to call it, emerald cut. Ideally, pointy corners, a cut stone, right? It's got a nice deep basket, and that'll do a lot of the work for holding the stone securely in there. Cut stone with pointy corners, right, to take advantage of those notches inside there, or beveled corners, that these prongs can fit very easily onto. I don't know. I don't really have a preference if it's pointy corners or beveled corners. Beveled corner stones are much easier to set, I find. Than pointy corners, but pointy corners, of course, are easier to cut if you're a lapidary, because every time you add a facet, there's another percentage chance that you're going to screw up your stone. And I love this ring shank that's like a chain almost, right? The chain effect that looks like it's just been the chain's links have all been soldered together and thing, but this is not. Of course, this is all cast as one piece. But I just love that. I think that's so cool. Right, very interesting chain effect on that band. We should put that on more bands, actually. MTR 486 with a retail price of $21.53 and a wholesale price of $13.46. This is for a 7x7mm trilliant, triangular, whatever you want to call it. So many names for triangular stones. This is for a curvilinear triangular stone. Curvilinear triangle, or a cushion triangle, I guess you could call it. With the curved sides, right? And we measure. So when you're talking 7mm, it's 7mm from this edge to the point, and from this edge to the point, and from that edge to the point, right? Does that make sense, right? So it's not 7mm from corner to corner. It's 7mm from the outside edge to the point. These all have chevron prongs, right? Which I was just crying about earlier. These are, but these are super easy to set. They don't have a really, really tall or wide top, so they push much easier than standard chevrons do. They're almost designed like a double prong, right? They've got a nice deep gouges on the inside of them, so it's very easy for the tips of the stones to fit against there. Cut stone, obviously, is what you want to put in here. Maybe a cab you could get in there, but I think that's so much space on the underside of this that it's crying for a cut stone to go in there. I love the rows of thing. I know there's no cubic zirconias in there, although you may think that at first glance. It's just that scallops around the outside edges with the millgrain texture in there. Very cool, very interesting setting. I'm a big fan. Actually, I don't think that curved triangular things are called trilliants. Trilliants, I think, are the ones that are like really, really super sharp triangles, straight edges. MTR 513, 1979, and with a wholesale or retail price of $19.79 and a wholesale price of $12.37. This is for a 12 by 15 millimeter pear-shaped stone. And so, I don't know, about as classic as you can get, right? I kind of love how the band, you know, chevrons up into the point. Right? Is that, I don't know if you want to call that technique. You know, the band itself is centered on the ring. But I just love how the band kind of swoops up to the top and, you know, holds the top and the side. Very interesting. Very, very, very cool. Nice deep basket. So cut stone is what you want to put in there. You could probably put a cab in there too if you like. You've got the two standard prongs with the pre-notches and the chevron prong up at the top. See, this is a nice, tall, deep or wide chevron up at the top. Which, I mean, they're stunning when they're set and they're done right. Yeah, and again, for this kind of a setting, when you put the cut stone in there, the seat holding the pavilion in there is doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as securing the stone in there. These are just setting the stones in there to make it hold fast, to push it down so that it's held fast against the seat instead of just being held fast against each other, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, let me know. I'll be happy to explain it to you, to explain the mechanics of setting tolerances and pressure points and that kind of stuff. There's a whole new world to think about. MTR 533 with a retail price of $18.20 and a wholesale price of $11.37. This is for a 6x7 millimeter oval. Very simple band, right? Tapered band, gorgeous, all the way up to those little heart elements in the edges with some cubic zirconia, little trios of cubic zirconias on each side. Lovely, nice deep basket. Perfect prongs for a cut stone. Might be able to put a cab in there. I wouldn't, but it's not my ring. Once you bought it, you can put whatever you want in there. MTR 179 with a retail price of $22.40 and a wholesale price of $15.13. This is for a 9 by 10 millimeter rectangular setting. What's going on with that? I think this one was, that seat's a little mangled. Right, again, this, boy, beveled corners would be perfect for this. That's kind of what they're designed for. Cha-ching, as we're talking, right? People are buying this stuff, right? So if you act now, oh boy, right? So just very simple split shank, you know, up to the edges of that rectangular. I gotta get that notification taken off my phone because, you know, as fun as it is to hear the cha-ching all day long, it's really annoying late at night. MTR 509 with a retail price of $29.38 and a wholesale price of $18.36. This is for 8 by 12 millimeter rectangular stone. You can put a cab in there. You can put a cut stone in there. You know, you just have to be careful again that the pavilion is not too deep for the finger space there. Boy, it would have to be really deep to get in there, right? And so this is a classic box ring. So actually used to do a workshop how to make rings of this using this kind of technique. Although they weren't open on the inside, they were solid on the inside, but hollow, right? So anyway, you don't need to know about that. I got these lovely chevrons of it looks like bead and bright cut, right? Chevrons of cubic zirconias in the sides, right? Golly, that's about as good a faux bead and bright cut as I've ever seen. There might actually be no, they're not. Right? So anyway, I could go into how this is normally done on naked metal, how you can do this effect to do these flush mounted stones. It's a technique called bead and bright cut where you cut the seats for them, and then the intersections of all the seats, the leftover material is used to push down and to create the prongs that hold the stone inside there, and then you just kind of carve out all the rest of the area around it to give it that sort of flat look. Anyway, 49 minutes. We're doing good. MTR 036 with a retail price of $17.42 and a wholesale price of $12.19. This is for a 7x9mm oval, and this is just as classic as you can get. Nice, very simple basket, pretty deep basket. It's got that hybrid seat, so you could put a cabochon or a cut stone in there. You can put whatever you want in there. This prong is bent way out. Anyway. Very, very cute, leaf motif here on the side, right? The band's turning into that leaves holding the basket up. Can't go wrong. We've got the next one, MTR 374 with a retail price of $14.61 and a wholesale price of $9.13. This is for an 8x10mm oval cabochon or cut stone, right? It's got the pre-notched prongs that are ostensibly for a cut stone, but the prongs are pretty good size too, so you can definitely get away with some cabochons in there. Right, very simple scroll work with a couple of cubic zirconias in there to give you a couple of little extra added bling, right? Lovely. We've got this MTR 062 with a retail price of $35.75 and a wholesale price of $25.03. This is for a 10x14mm cabochon. Yeah, I would say a cabochon. I don't think there's very few cut stones you could get away with putting in there. But just because of the shape of the prongs, right? How the prongs get pulled way out from the basket, from the seat, I should say, and then curve up all the way around. This is definitely 100% designed for cabochons, and it's very cool. Very, very cool. Right? They could be, you can see that from under. Oh, it just looks like, horns. It's got a nice wide band, with those diagonal lines, carved in them. Very cool setting. Very, it's pretty heavy one too. This is one of those rare ones that are definitely more than 5 grams. Which, if you don't know why 5 grams is significant, it's because you weren't watching the beginning of the video, and you need to go all the way back to the beginning and I'm just kidding. MTR 034 with a retail price of $18.64 and a wholesale price of $13.72 for a 7x9mm oval cabochon or cut stone. Again, this prong is bent down from being on display for years and years. I love this, kind of, I don't know how to call it, this almost topographic map, right? How the shape kind of segments one on top of each other. It's a very cool effect from the front, right? From the front. Yeah, I like it. And of course the seat is separate from all of these segments, so there's a little sliver of space, inside or around the outside of the seat. I don't know if you could see that. Very cool ring. Our next item, MTR 435 with a retail price of $14.55 and a wholesale price of $9.71. This is for an 8x10mm oval cabochon or cut stone. I think cut stone works better in here than a cab, although you could probably put a cab. You can't go wrong with butterflies, right? Nice split shank with those cute little butterflies holding the basket. It's so cute. Boy, I don't know what else you can say about this other than I think the word is cute. You can't go wrong. We've got MTR 301B, like boy, which means that there's an MTR 301 that's probably the same ring with just a different size. Retail price $37.98 and a wholesale price $23.73. This is for a 12x13mm oval cabochon or cut stone. It's got the prongs for a cab, but the hybrid seat for a cut stone. And the basket, is good average size depth. So unless you've got a super deep pavilion, it should fit just fine. I love this classic split shank with the the rows of cubic zirconia inside there, right? That's just, super classic. Can't go wrong. I love that. We got this MTR 026 with a retail price of $17.85 and a wholesale price of $13.38. This is for a 7x9mm oval cabochon or cut stone. A cab will fit in there great because it's almost like there's a little, very shallow bezel that you could put your stone in there and then push the prongs over onto. Cut stone also will work because it's a good size basket. The prongs are not the pre-notched ones, so anything will fit in there. Anything will work. And this is just a classic split shank, terminating up in that big oval basket. Now, the last one I'm going to show you today, because I think we're at that time, like 57 minutes, so we're almost at an hour, is this. And I'm kind of happy that we're ending on this one because this is so cool. And I've set a lot of rings at shows in this thing, and we sell a ton of these things. And it might be difficult to get an idea what to do with this at first glance, but I'll talk you through it. MTR 369 with a retail price of $23.27 and a wholesale price of $14.55. And this is just a regular, 2 or 3mm wide band. Just simple. And then there's a pentagon of, base, and then these 16 gauge, right, prongs that you can pull into whatever shape you want. So, usually when I'm doing these, I pull all of these perfectly flat so they're all splayed out, and then I'll put the stone on the outside, and sometimes I'll, just however you can push the stones over onto there. I'm a big fan of taking the tips of these and pulling them into little tiny curlicues and then making little spirals and then pushing the little spirals over onto the top of the stone, right? So here's the band with that basket, right? And this is just your crazy irregular shaped stone. Right, and this just bend those little things into little curlicues, and those push over onto the stone, right? Just you can use regular old stone setting tools. It's really secure. It's very cool. Definitely, super interesting. Now that I'm looking at it, I probably should have set it the other way so that the stone was parallel with the finger instead of perpendicular to it. But whatever. It was a demo to say, hey, look at this cool thing you can do with this. And I think on the website for this, the pictures we have for this, we have a lot of different versions of how to use this particular ring, because I know that we have lots of pictures, because every time somebody at a show brings some crazy stone that doesn't fit anything and we suggest this and I do this, obviously people are thrilled that they can wear this crazy, whatever crazy stone in a ring that's super unique. But we always take a picture. We always ask, hey, can we take a picture for our social media? So I know we've got tons of pictures of this particular setting in different permutations, doing very cool things. And I think as we're on the hour that I'm going to stop for today. Because I think this is the first time I ever came in under an hour. Because I've got, although it's 58 minutes and 30 seconds, so definitely I'm going to go longer than 90 seconds saying bye, because that's just who I am, You can never get me to the... Who's calling me? Nobody calls my phone. Sorry about that. If it's somebody who's watching and you're calling me, first of all, why would you call me in the middle of a live stream? But also, call me back in like 4 minutes. Oh boy, I just hung up on that person. I hope that it wasn't important. Anyway, thank you for joining us today. We'll continue on with some more rings next week. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Oh, I have some red or green. It's not super green. There's a little bit of green in my shirt, though. There's some olive. Nelson has no green, so bad luck for him. He's going to have a day. Right, St. Patrick's Day. So don't forget to celebrate and have fun. Although I will say St. Patrick's Day it's originally a religious holiday, so it has nothing to do with drinking. You know, Irish people just love drinking, so I guess they co-opted that whole historical myth of St. Patrick saying, you know, lift one up for me, you know, on my day, or whatever the myth is. There's a great podcast called Our Fake History that they did a whole thing about St. Patrick's and what St. Patrick really, who he really was, and what, you know, or what influences. Anyway, so you should have a listen to that if you're interested in St. Patrick's Day at all, or fake history. I just love that podcast. That's one of my faves. Anyway, neither here nor there. We will see you next week, next Wednesday, 10:30 Pacific, extrapolated out to wherever you are in the world. Until then, take care of yourself, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health. Keep making things, keep making stuff, get those creative juices flowing, get those synapses firing in new ways and create new things. And we will see you next week. Again, you know, please, if you have any questions about anything, contact me during the week. You know, I'll probably answer you directly however you contact me, but I will, you know, probably expand on it next week in the thing. You know, I like keeping questions that people send, you know, and there were some questions this week that I didn't write down. So anyway, never mind. Right here I said I was going to be overlong in my my denouement, and here I am taking forever. So thanks for joining us. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.